And we are live. Hi, friends. Welcome to Central Florida Weather Live on this Wednesday afternoon. Coming to you live here to track what is going to be some very windy storms moving across the area. Good to see you guys right now. Hope you're doing well. A little bit breezy outside, isn't it? You can see those winds right now, 35, 40 miles an hour. So coming up, I'm with you live on this Wednesday afternoon. We're to track these showers and storms together. We'll talk about the impacts. You can see we have a couple of yellow polygons. Those are going to be some special weather statements. Just get ready for what is going to be an extremely windy rest of our afternoon with some fast moving showers and some isolated storms. Good to see you guys on this first live stream in a while. Of course, we're doing the live shows on Monday and Friday, but anytime there's impactful weather, I'm going to come on live. We're going to talk about it for you guys. As always, Central Florida Weather Live is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They are hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the entire state. Anything that could impact you or your property, think hail, hurricane damage, or car accidents. They're there to walk you through every step of the insurance claim process, offering free consultations and policy reviews. Go to the website you see on your screen, leanomelaw.com. Good to see you guys on this Wednesday. If you have a question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. Again, we're going to get right into it here. First of all, I want to bring you guys to our live camera, the newest one that we have here on CFLW. I'm going to take myself off camera. This is from the west side of Orange County in Winter Garden. We are looking off to the west. That is a live shot, and if you live anywhere along the I-4 corridor, all the way from the Daytona Beach area back down towards Tampa, this is what is either moving through or will be headed your way. Thick cloud coverage. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you can see that the palm trees are dancing with these 35 and 40 mile an hour winds. Going to have a quick burst of showers working their way into the area right now. You know, it's really interesting because, just an hour ago, there was actually even a bit of sunshine on this camera. I mean, from time to time, even with these fast moving showers and that wind, we're going to actually punch in a little bit of the way of some sunshine. You can almost see there's a little bit of a break there, but overcast skies are really the big story right now. Let's take a look at what's happening here in the Disney area. This is from Lake Buena Vista. We are looking to the south and to the west towards the Disney property. Again, I'll take myself off camera. You look at the top right-hand side of your screen. There is some rain that'll be moving towards Lake Buena Vista and the southwest sides of Orange County fairly quickly. You can see that the trees there are also dancing in the breeze as well. Again, area-wide, we have some 25, 35 mile an hour winds and even some higher gusts. We're going to have a quick burst of rain moving through Lake Buena Vista in the southwest sides of Orange County as well. And then we'll take a look at our Conway cam. This is from Lake Conway near downtown Orlando, kind of south and east. Again, it's a very common sight here. You can see the clouds rolling in the distance. Now this camera is looking east, so you're going to actually see the clouds moving away from you, where the Winter Garden camera will show you the showers and storms moving towards the camera, but you can see those racing on by. Very breezy conditions there. Friends, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you obviously see current conditions rolling across the area right now. It's very interesting to note some of the numbers that we have on the screen for you here. I'm going to go back over to the weather computer, back on my system, and just show you the current temperatures that are into play right now. So those are the wind gusts, but if I throw on temperatures, can you see the difference? You saw it on the bottom of your screen, 66 right now in Crystal River, but it's still 81 degrees in Orlando. To the east and south of where we have our rain moving through, we have the strong southerly flow. You can clearly see temperatures are in the lower 80s. I was outside for about a half hour today. It's disgusting. I mean, the humidity is cranked up, the south winds, it feels like an early summer afternoon, but behind that, you do have temperatures that have quickly fallen back into the 60s. All right, so that's kind of the general setup. Let's get into what's been happening now. Right at 1:15, the special weather statement that was in effect for portions of Lake and northern Volusia counties has been allowed to expire. I've been keeping an eye on that. This was going to be for some winds of up to 50 miles an hour from time to time. So no severe thunderstorm warnings, but we did have a special weather statement there, and we have a large special weather statement south and west of Orlando to talk about as well. Now, as you imagine, as these move offshore, we have special marine statements or special marine warnings, and that's going to move all the way into the 2:45 time frame. So for the next 90 minutes, you notice that these storms are moving fast right now, forward speed of 43 miles an hour. Now, at this point in time in the area, if you notice the live lightning count, count, there's not a ton of lightning, all right? So the main threat with any of this is going to be the winds. I hope it's not trash day in your neighborhood. If it is, get the trash cans inside. Otherwise, you guys might be playing rock'em sock'em with the cars. Temperatures, again, are still in the 70s. Very heavy rainfall right now over places like Daytona Beach and Port Orange and Holly Hill, up towards Ormond Beach. The showers continue through Flagler County as well. It's a little bit spottier here. This is the Melbourne radar, so when I go over and I'm going to switch off the Melbourne radar and just bring on the composite so you guys can kind of get an idea that the rain itself is beginning to push east of St. John's and Duval counties, and they're beginning to see some drier air. Now, up the road here is where you really have all of the severe weather, all right, where we have the opportunity for some tornadic activity for a lot of the Carolinas and into Virginia as well. The purple that you see, that's going to be a severe thunderstorm watch as well, and it's interlaced with what's going to be some pretty active weather just overall here for this area. The other area is going to be a tornado watch. So big time problems there. Again, I mentioned it in the video on Monday that I'd be watching today. The severe weather threat, relatively speaking, is fairly low across our area for today. It's not zero, but it is relatively low. When we take a look at the SPC day one risk, we are under that marginal risk for severe storms. That's going to be your darker green, and it pretty much encompasses all of our entire area. Again, the main threat and why we would have a severe thunderstorm warning would be some winds of over 60 miles an hour. But as we go through the remainder of the afternoon and the rain and the storms push east of your area, that's going to be it. We're not going to have any real redevelopment of any of this over the rest of the afternoon hours. So once you're done with the rain, that's it. However, the breezy conditions, of course, they're going to be sticking around. So let's go back out to our broad perspective here and talk about, again, this particular special weather statement. It goes until 1:30. Again, you can see the threat on your screen, winds of up to 50 miles an hour. So let's take a look at some of the impacts there. Again, bring that up on your screen. Goes until 1:30, moving east at around 17 miles an hour. This is a healthy line of showers and storms. That's the bottom line. You can see some of the areas are going to be impacted from this. Now, Tampa's already been hit by this, so that's already moved on by. So when we look at the areas now that I expect to see a little bit more in the way of some potential, you're going to be looking at places like Lakeland and Haines City and Polk City, Winter Haven, on over towards the Mulberry, Bartow areas. Notice that this special weather statement does creep close to the southern sides of Lake County, the northwest sides of Osceola, and the southwest sides of Orange County. Good showers right now from the Hamlin area back down towards Lake Buena Vista. Healthy rain over the I-Drive corridor. So for anyone at the attractions at this point in time, again, it's going to be a wet afternoon. But the big story here is going to be the winds that will continue to whip across this area. Once again, guys, if you're here, I really appreciate it. Thank you for liking this live stream, and thank you for subscribing to Central Florida Weather Live if you haven't as of yet. Again, if you're new to the channel, it's a live-only channel. Only come on live when there's impactful weather to talk about. I do a show on Monday and Friday afternoons at 1 p.m. just to kind of keep you guys up to date. And if you were a viewer of the Monday show, we talked about the potential to see this kind of weather this afternoon. So that's one reason why you tune in. You get a little bit of that preview. Zephyr Hills has just recorded a 39-mile-an-hour wind gust. Obviously, these winds behind our front are going to be out of the west. Ahead of it here are still going to be out of the south. So MCO is still reporting a south wind. Our friends up in the Leesburg area, you've got the west wind. We still are going to have a south component to the wind in places like Cape Canaveral and Port St. John and Titusville. But again, it doesn't really matter whether you're on the leading edge of this or behind the rain and storms that'll be moving through. The winds are going to be pretty steady the remainder of the day. We're talking about, 30 to 35, maybe even 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And then that air pushing in behind it is going to be cooler, but those winds are still going to be quite breezy for the remainder of the afternoon hours. So at this point in time, again, we have the one special weather statement. We'll see if this pulses up. The reason why the Weather Service offices either out of Tampa or Melbourne or Jacksonville would bring us additional special weather statements are going to be the wind. It's as simple as that. Now, again, this is not going to be quite pleasant across the I-4 area from Volusia to Citadel and Orange, back down into Osceola and Polk for getting the kids home from school today, right? Not a lot of lightning, so we're going to cross our fingers. We don't have a lot of 30-30s that go into effect. Of course, most school districts include the 30-30 rule. If there is a lightning strike, they have to wait 30 minutes for the next one without any lightning being detected in the area, hearing thunder that is, before they can release the kids. So hopefully that's not the case in most spots. You can see in this view in the last 15 minutes, we've only had 2 lightning strikes. So there's not a ton of juice in the atmosphere, but there's a heck of a lot of wind, and that's going to be one of the bigger stories here. Let's see. Let's go over to our temps and our visible satellite imagery here. And again, I can show you guys a ton of stuff. I have my storm track mode on right now. I'm looking at a couple of individual cells, but I got to tell you, at this point in time, things are cooperating. We're looking pretty good as far as that goes. So here's the visible satellite imagery across the area. You can see just how thick that the cloud coverage is moving through right now. Again, this beautiful high-res visible satellite imagery. It's going to be gorgeous starting tomorrow. We will get a lot drier air coming in, but for the bulk of the afternoon hours here, we're going to be stuck with the breezy conditions and the opportunity for some of these showers. Fiona, how you doing? Gray, occasional strong breezes, no rain yet in North Orlando. Thank you very much. Clouds have gone yellowish, like before rain. Very interesting. Continue to keep an eye on the cameras as well. But yeah, it's going to be pretty thick. The interesting thing about this too is, even just before the rain moved in, across the I-4 corridor, there were breaks of sunshine here and there. So very interesting dynamics in the atmosphere for today. But that's what it looks like on the visible satellite imagery. And because we do have these cameras here at CFLW, that's not it. Let's continue to keep an eye out for these guys. So this is going to be a live look to Winter Garden and the western sides of Orange County. Again, you can clearly see the thick cloud coverage from time to time. You can even just see a little bit of sun trying to peek through. Now, the bulk of the rain that's moving into the western side of Orange County is actually occurring right now. If you look to the bottom of your screen, as we look off to the west, you can already see that the clouds are breaking apart a little bit. So very common sight right now. Again, if you live in Orange County, places like Orlando and Apopka and Winter Garden and Ocoee and Windermere, your temperatures are still going to be in the lower 80s. But if you look at the bottom of your screen, we just had Crystal River and Spring Hill roll by. They're in the 60s. Palm Coast is in at 77. So some big changes. Gainesville down to 70 at the hour. And again, these clouds will continue to roll in. This is going to be a great shot to continue to use here at CFLW. Again, we're looking west, so we're going to see a lot of the activity continue to roll into the area from this camera. I have this shadow I'm trying to get rid of here. I'm not any closer to the green screen. I know that. Definitely when I lean back, I'm going to have to be on my P's and Q's here. I have this stand with my tablet on it. I'm going to get a little bit more forward. Hopefully I don't have that. It's only on certain things. We'll adjust it on the fly. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the Conway cam in downtown Orlando. Now you have a little bit of blue sky, right? And so this is going to be whipping through the area. Winds are going to be the biggest story here from time to time. And then back over to the Disney camera. Now that rain that I mentioned is coming down. So southwest sides of Orange County, this is the story. You can see that wind has really picked up. And when you get the showers into your area, this is what you should expect. Those windy conditions will be a little bit more sustained. At easily, again, 25 to 35 miles an hour with some higher gusts. So now, well, guess what? The road's going to be wet for the drive home. Again, getting the kids home from school could be a wet proposition in a lot of our central and the eastern sides of Central Florida. So just keep that in mind. And again, just solid breeze there. This camera, again, is just 1 mile from the Disney property in Lake Buena Vista, and we are looking towards the Disney property to the south and to the west. Yeah, it isn't, Fiona, but, I like things to be buttoned up here. Generally speaking, it probably was just me standing too close to the green screen. I would do it on TV all the time. This is a true story. Most television stations, so meteorologists don't sit here and hug the green screen. They will put items in front of the green screen so you can't get too far back. I can't do that here in where I've had this set up, because I need to be able to move about. But from time to time, and this was at many of the TV stations that I worked at, from time to time, if you listen, you literally might hear a clank, and more than likely that is the meteorologist's shoe hitting whatever they put back there to prevent you from actually getting back to the wall. Now, that still doesn't stop you from being able to reach all the way back, right? But they tried to prevent a little bit of a buffer zone. There was one station that I worked at that, man, they had the X where you stood like 6 feet from the green screen. They wanted nothing to do. But the problem with that is then you have to look back at the monitor sometimes and it looks like you're putting your shoulder behind. Anyway, a little trick of the trade there. All right, so that's the live look to Lake Buena Vista again, where the rain continues to fall across that area. Go back over to the Winter Garden shot. It's kind of interesting here. I was just trying to see what this was, if that's just some kind of a little maybe smudge on the lens here. This camera is taking it in the face right now, so it might be, you know, this camera is looking right at the wind coming in. You can see the rain falling right now. That's probably what it is, just a couple of drips on the old lens there, because I've got this camera, when we set it up, it's pointed relatively at a steep angle, so we get a lot of the sky, but that does mean it's going to be susceptible to some of the raindrops coming through. So that's what it is. Again, this is a brand new camera, so I'm kind of looking with it for you guys at real time. By the way, this is an initiative that we're going to have here at CFLW, is to continue to provide you more live cameras, rolling those out hopefully as we get closer to the wet season as well. So look out for that. These are great tools to be able to continue to tell the weather story. So we'll back over to the live radar here. Let me go back over full screen. By the way, guys, if you guys have a specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, you know, this is just one of those days. We hadn't had a live stream for impactful weather in a while. Wanted to kind of come on and touch base with you guys. We had those two special weather statements. That was the main reason why I decided to jump on, because, you know, we had the opportunity here. And let me be clear that there is still the chance that these storms could pulse up a little bit as they move east of I-4. It's not as if I think that we're just on the downhill side of everything, okay? You can clearly see that this is a pretty healthy part of this right now, despite the fact that we don't have a lot of rain, or excuse me, don't have a lot of lightning, but we do have a lot in the way of wind in these areas. So when you take a look at those, you know, you're gonna get 40-mile-an-hour winds coming with this. So Haines City on over towards Celebration and Kissimmee. Let's track that as well. Again, the special weather statement had this moving at 17. Let me just double check the actual, we'll say 20. I think that's relatively slow, but let's track this out. And real quickly here, let's take a look at the movement so you guys can get an idea for that as well. So I'm gonna switch over to the composite radar, and we'll loop this up over the last 2 hours. So you can clearly see it coming in, moving fast. Everything's pretty much moving east, a little bit in the way of some cells. Now you notice, okay, so they did issue a severe thunderstorm warning. Boom, right now as we speak. There you go. And this is exactly what I just said. I said it's not as if these things are on the downhill, right? We have to watch out for these things to pulse up a little bit. And as soon as I said that, now we have ourselves a severe thunderstorm warning. So forget what I was just about ready to do. Let's talk about the severe thunderstorm warning as well. Now, the good news is this thing is going to be quickly racing its way offshore. The bad news is it's going to be impacting some relatively populated areas. Daytona Beach right now under a severe thunderstorm warning. Winds of up to 60 miles an hour and a little bit less than 3/4 inch size hail. Would not expect the hail size to be a significant player today, but that doesn't mean we wouldn't get a copious amount in some of the bigger downdrafts that are coming out of this right now. I do have my storm track on, so I'm not seeing anything as far as that goes to query any cells. Let's get the information out of this new severe thunderstorm warning. Again, just issued live here right now. Goes only until 1:45 for north central sides of Volusia County. A severe thunderstorm located over South Daytona, moving northeast at 30. There's your main impact, which is always going to be the wind today at 60 miles an hour. Again, if you have an opportunity to bring lightweight objects inside, that's the play for today. If this was garbage day and the bins are still outside, get them in if you can. Daytona International Speedway, Daytona Beach Shores, South Daytona, Daytona Beach Airport, and Holly Hill, all impacted by this severe thunderstorm. Latest report here out of the airport had a 24-mile-an-hour wind gust, but that was at 111, so we'll see what the new one is. But they're really talking about this part of the cell right here. So US 1, A1A, going to be moving offshore here relatively quickly, but South Daytona, Daytona Beach Shores, on over towards maybe the Holly Hill area. You can see that the severe thunderstorm warning does encompass Holly Hill. It does not include Ormond Beach, but Ormond Beach did have a 36-mile-an-hour wind gust a little bit earlier in the day. So again, good to see you guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you again for liking this live stream. I'm sure a lot of you are watching because you have your notifications on, and that is a big thing that I would suggest if you do like this content. Again, live only channel, so I'm not going to waste your time. Also, we're not going to have all these notifications on a daily basis. I'm live when there is impact for the talk about. So because it's such an immediate thing, I would have all of your notifications on. That way you just get that heads up on your tablet or on your phone that, hey, Rusty's live. Let me check in. Let me see what's going on. Because today, you guys are the smart ones and you're tuning in for the live coverage. Again, severe thunderstorm warning currently in effect right now for portions of Volusia County. It only goes until 1:45 because this one is going to be quickly moving its way offshore. At this point in time, it is along the immediate coast. You can clearly see there is where the cell has been picked up here. So again, with this system, if you're new to the channel, I can do a lot of really, really cool things. Basically, the radar has picked up that this is the heaviest part of the storm, and we can actually go back in time based on the timing and the track. So you can see that Daytona Beach down towards Daytona Beach Shores, the biggest impact from that storm was at 128, and it's actually counting up that since the highest impact, this is how much time has elapsed. Now, obviously, you flip this around, and if there were storms that were going to be moving into the area, we could talk about how long until we would see the most significant impacts, right? And we could do this down to street level, guys. So again, really excited to do that. I've actually been working behind the scenes to even hone more of that. Also, please note that the Weather Service out of Melbourne has really extended this special marine warning. It now encompasses a heck of a lot of more real estate for both nearshore and offshore waters. For anyone who might have any interest in boating, obviously, gonna want to make sure you guys stay aware. I'm just using this algorithm here. I can go and actually take a look at some of the most impactful storms. So again, this is another one to look out for right here, right? It's going to be Lake Alfred, Polk City, Davenport, Haines City, but eventually it'll be moving into portions of the northwest sides of Osceola County. And the rain is beginning to pick up right now. Celebration, downtown Orlando, Lake Buena Vista, Dr. Phillips, Oak Ridge, Pine Castle, Edgewood, Conway. So our Conway cam, we'll get back to that in just a second because some rain's beginning to move there towards the Executive Airport in downtown Orlando. Again, all the numbers that you see are wind gusts right now. So 30, 35 mile an hour wind gusts as well. Hi Lou, how you doing? In Lake Alfred, rain is heavy. Rain is heavy, wind not bad. Thanks Lou, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you being a part of our community, and thank you for dropping a comment down. Again, guys, this is why I do this, so we can have this interaction, right? That's the big difference between doing this and being on television. You guys can interact with me. This is really what I want. I want this to be a community channel, not just our moderators, but for everyone. Even if you just say hi, or you say, Rusty, I'm watching from here, it gets a good idea of what's happening. And so just like Lou, a nice little quick update. It lets me know exactly what's happening, and I do appreciate that. The land has had a nice little 40 mile an hour wind as well. Again, let's be clear, behind the showers and storms coming through, the winds are still going to be quite strong. You're just going to get a wind shift from the south to the west. That's going to be the biggest story. So if we take a look at the three cameras that we have here, right? So we're going to look at the Conway cam coming up. the Conway cam coming up here, they're going to still have a south wind. The rain is going to be falling on our Lake Buena Vista camera, and then our camera in Winter Garden, which is right here, is going to have a pretty strong west wind, where we're going to continue to see probably some drops of rain on the old lens because that camera is looking off to the west. So I just gave you a preview. Let's see how I did. Let's start off with the Conway cam. Looks like they haven't actually gotten the rain yet, but it's very close. Notice that the skies have clouded up a little bit as well. And you can see, look how fresh that wind is. Again, we're looking east from this camera, so everything's pushing away, but you can clearly see the fresh fetch of wind here on Lake Conway at the hour. 5 minutes ago, we had some full sunshine in the distance. That is not the case any longer. Again, thick cloud coverage with these gusty winds. The rain here at the Disney area looks like that has just begun to let up a little bit. For the brief time behind some of these bursts of rain, the winds might be a little bit lighter, but then they're going to freshen back up as this drier air comes in. So again, the bulk of the afternoon hours, even ahead, during the storms, and then certainly behind them as the air dries out, we're still going to get some wind gusts of over 35 and 40 miles an hour. And then watch these clouds whipping through the area again. There's a drop of water here on the lens from our camera in Winter Garden looking off towards the west, but you can clearly see the thick cloud coverage. If you look at the left-hand side of your screen, again, a lot of, I call them SLCs, scary looking clouds. There's some good dark bases to those as well. Eventually, again, the drier air will mix in and we'll start to see some of this cloud coverage dissipate a bit, but it's going to take a while. And again, temperatures will continue to fall because of that as well. So look at those numbers. And again, this is another interesting part of this. If I switch over to temperatures right now, you're going to continue to see a big difference in those values. So look, Brevard County, 84 Port St. John, 82 in Melbourne. We're down to 68 in Leesburg. We're down to 68 in Inverness. Crystal River has actually rebounded from 68 to 66 to 68, Ocala 66. So very quickly, things have changed in Volusia County. So let me get back on camera. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning is already gone. That lasted what, about 5 minutes? Hi, Teresa, how you doing? I saw you retracted your message, but I appreciate you tuning in, and thank you for just saying hi. Do appreciate that. So the severe thunderstorm warning is gone. There you go. Good to see. I'm in MIMS today, overcast, gusty winds, no rain as of yet. Thank you, Teresa, for those kind words, and I appreciate that. You will get the rain moving in here in a little bit, Teresa. Again, we'll see if it holds together in the northern sides of Brevard County, but you should at least get some wind-driven showers, if nothing else. Now, we do have a new special weather statement, right? And this is a little bit farther south, so this is going to include portions of Seminole and into Volusia counties. You notice that the Weather Service has upped the winds to 55. That's really close to severe thunderstorm warning criteria. We get to 60, and that would be a severe thunderstorm warning rather than a special weather statement. So let's take a look at it together. This is going to be a strong thunderstorm impacting central Seminole and southeast Volusia counties until 2 o'clock. We've got ourselves a nice little strong thunderstorm over the Osteen area near Sanford. Osteen is just east of Sanford along Highway 415. It is moving off to the northeast at 30 miles an hour. Again, it's going to be the wind, guys, winds of 50 to 55 miles an hour. As they said, it could knock down some tree limbs. There could be some power problems if it hits the wrong neighborhoods and blowing around unsecured lightweight objects. So again, if it's trash day and you have an opportunity to get some of this, either the trash bin back inside or pick up some of the plastic or PVC, furniture that you guys have, or anything that's lightweight out there. I know some of my kids' sporting equipment, bring it inside. That's probably the best advice I can give you guys. When we take a look at this, just taking a look at the broad view here, again, storm motion northeast at 32, max winds 55. Some of the areas that are going to be impacted, Lake Harney, Heathrow. I love when we get into southern Volusia County because you really get some interesting names like Turtle Mound. Never heard that one before. There's something with cow in it. I don't know if I have it on my map or not. Oh my God. Southwest Volusia County is very interesting when it comes to names. But anyway, moving out of Sanford, back towards Oviedo, to the north of Chuliota. And then for those who don't know, Osteen is right here on the 415. And that's what I was mentioning. So the strongest part of that cell is actually already east of Sanford. So headed towards Osteen, I believe Lake Alfred, and then we'll be continuing to move into higher populated areas like Ponce Inlet, New Smyrna, and Edgewater as well. So again, guys, appreciate you tuning in. And we do have a new special weather statement down here as well. Again, this was the one that I wanted to watch. So as I've mentioned, it's not as if these storms are trending down. If actually anything, the wind threat has been trending up. So this special weather statement is going to come in two parts. We have the one right now for portions of Polk County, including Davenport, Lake Alfred, Haines City, and the Winter Haven area for the next 20 minutes. So that goes until 2 o'clock. Main threat's going to be 50 miles an hour, but they've already extended this into portions of Osceola and the south central sides of Orange County. So this is a new one here. So if you live in these areas, and I'll highlight that in just a second, let me move this over just a little bit more so as I read this, you get a good idea. So strong thunderstorm impacting south central Orange, northwest Osceola counties through 2:15. Strong thunderstorm near Point Siena or Intercession City moving to the northeast at 30. Once again, your threats are going to be winds of 50 to 55 miles an hour. Yeehaw Junction, Alligator Lake, Point Siena, Kissimmee, and Campbell all included. So Yeehaw Junction is all the way down in the southern side. Really, Yeehaw Junction? Wow. I don't think that's right. Yeehaw Junction. That's way down there. I believe that's just a misclick from the National Weather Service in Melbourne. So they literally will just click on cities and add them to the advisory. I don't believe it's going to be there. Places that it will impact, though, will be Campbell, Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Buenaventura Lakes, the East Lake Toho area. Eventually, this could slip into the southeast sides of Orange County. So, close to MCO, places like Hunters Creek, Meadow Woods, Lake Nona, Medical City there along the 417, portions of JYP, OBT, and the Turnpike areas there in the southern sides of Orange County could all be impacted. And again, the main threat will be winds of 50 to 55 miles an hour. So temperatures there are in the upper 70s, lower 80s, just enough juice out there as well. Hey, Blue Goose, how you doing, pal? About 6/100 of an inch of rain. Yeah, you guys did okay, right? I was a little concerned the farther north that you went for the opportunity for a little bit of rotation with the storms that never panned out, thankfully. The winds moved through very quickly. Got here late, did not have notifications on it. Come on, Blue Goose. Actually, Blue Goose is a great friend of the channel. He tunes in every Monday and Friday. But this is the reason why you do it, is that you have the notifications on so you know when to tune in when I'm doing this live coverage. And I appreciate you guys joining me here on this Wednesday afternoon. We are live. Once again, CFLW is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida. We're proud to have them as our sponsors. You can see their logo at the lower third of our screen. Our graphics crawl stays there. We appreciate them being our sponsor. LeanOnMeLaw.com is their website. If you'd like more information, we appreciate Bobby Lean and the team being a part of our team here at CFLW. So once again, a couple different special weather statements to talk about if you're just tuning in, and this is why we had a severe thunderstorm warning in Daytona Beach. This is the new one. Remember, I just said, okay, they had, about a 25 mile an hour wind, but that was earlier. At 1:24, so less than 20 minutes ago, the airport in Daytona Beach had a 58 mile an hour wind gust. There you go. So that's going to cause some problems. If it moves your way through your area, it's going to knock down some trees. It's going to cause some potential power problems. It's going to push around unsecured objects. Again, if it's trash day, get the trash cans inside. That would be my suggestion. But for anyone who is under any of these additional special weather statements, that is the ground truth data of the kind of winds that we could see, right? The winds that could be approaching 58. Now, they just had a new report of 39, so we just lost that last report here, but they did have a 58 mile an hour wind about 20 minutes ago, and then about 11 minutes ago they reported a 39. Still quite strong, no doubt about it. But this is what could be headed to Edgewater and New Smyrna, maybe even Oak Hill. We'll see if this comes in two chunks or whether this wants to dive into portions of northern Brevard County. And it's the same situation here for these areas into Polk County as well. Right? Polk County, northern sides of Osceola, southern and southeast sides of Orange County, where anywhere within these yellow polygons, 50 to 55 mile an hour winds could continue to be an issue. Of course, I can look at the winds as well. So, you see these gusts, but I can switch over to what's called the base velocity out of the Melbourne radar. And, we can look at these as well. Now, these are just going to be what the radar says are the winds. and this is a little bit higher in the atmosphere, but you get the idea that the radar is picking up some potentially strong winds. Now, these are going to be in bursts. There's not going to be a lot of sustained winds that approach 50, but as the air mixes in a little bit and some drier air tries to come in, we could get a nice little downdraft from time to time that could kick that up. In this general product, if you see brighter greens, those are stronger winds, all right? And then those, of course, green going to the radar, red are going away. And so from this view here, I'm not really concerned. You know, there's a little bit in the way here. That's broad. I don't expect there to be any real twist to the storms today. These are linear. I'm not worried about anything as far as the T word, so we won't even mention it. Back over to reflectivity. And again, great to see you guys today as well. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for dropping a comment here and being a part of the channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's go back over to our camera. Well, actually, you know, I do this. I want to follow this one as well. So this is still one of the stronger cells here. So I've got this on storm cell tracking mode right now. Just allows me to kind of take a look on the fly. Okay, let's get that off of there. All right, yeah, 60-mile-an-hour speed there on that one. This is the most interesting one here. If you see the green triangle, it's indicative of a hail signature. So maybe half-inch size hail here that just rolled through north of Haines City. And so that one would be one to watch out for St. Cloud if it holds together. Now you can see that the algorithm has also picked up on, hey, this is a strong part of that storm. So if I zoom in and you live in the St. Cloud area, we've got about 13 minutes before we get more impactful weather in that area. You can see the time of arrival at 2:01 as far as the general into St. Cloud. The western side of St. Cloud about 1:59, again, about 12 and a half minutes away. So again, a lot of things my system can do. Nice little cell here over portions of that's too close, over portions of the Orlando metro area. I meant to do that. So nice little cell. It's going to be moving over MCO. Notice they picked up a nice little 35-mile-an-hour wind gust as well. So Lee Vista Boulevard, Lake Nona is also in on this one as well, as that tracks up north and east. Again, the movement of that one is 41 miles an hour with an easterly 70-degree component. This one's also moving east. 60-mile-an-hour wind speed there. Bithlo, Avalon Park, Alafaya, University Park. Teresa, you live in Mims. That one could be impacting you. So we'll see if that one holds together there as well. And here you go. Look, this is why we have the special weather statement. Now, we just had a 53-mile-an-hour wind gust at the airport in Sanford. So let me be clear. Since I have been on now for almost 40 minutes, the only thing that these storms have done have gotten stronger with a higher wind threat. So that's why I'm on right now, is to track these with you guys. The winds have gotten much fresher with some of this activity. Part of it is that we have this drier air that's ready to pounce in behind this, and that drier air is mixing down to the surface right now, and it's really creating some of these stronger wind gusts. There's not going to be a ton of rain. I mean, you know, again, could there be pockets of heavier rain? Absolutely. But you notice that, you know, with anything that we've been talking about so far, none of the special weather statements have really talked about any true heavy rainfall. So this is the visible satellite imagery here over the last 6 hours. And you can clearly see in the temperatures as well, right? So you'll see how temperatures have warmed up significantly south and east of where we have our front coming through. And then as the thicker clouds and the rain has moved in, temperatures in Marion and Lake and Citrus and Pasco counties and Hernando counties plummeted into the 60s. Crystal River actually got down to what, 62, 63 degrees as the rain moved in. As the skies have cleared a bit, they've actually returned to the upper 60s, but you get the idea. There's a big spread in our temperatures at this point in time. But for the bulk of the afternoon hours, we are going to be stuck with the cloud coverage. We're going to be stuck with the opportunity to see some really strong winds, well over 35 miles an hour in a lot of locations. And obviously we're pushing some 60-mile-an-hour winds as well. But this drier air comes in and it will help to clear us out. Now, officially, we are still under what we call a marginal risk for severe storms. Now, we've already had one severe thunderstorm warning for coastal Volusia County earlier in this 1 o'clock hour, but the green encompasses basically our entire viewing area. It does not include the southern sides of Brevard or Osceola County or Indian River County. And by the way, when I say viewing area, I mean Central Florida Weather Live. I love the folks who tune in from everywhere, and you know I appreciate that as well, because a lot of you might have interest in Central Florida, but you don't live in the area. But just talking about the area that we typically cover here on CFLW, it's generalized thunderstorms to the south. That marginal risk goes all the way up the East Coast towards Brunswick, Georgia. And again, the most active weather today with a tornado threat for portions of the Carolinas, especially along and east of places like I-40 and I-95 up towards Richmond, Virginia. They continue to have some pretty nasty weather there. So we got lucky that the bulk of the mid and upper level energy with this system actually passed us to the north. But again, our impacts are going to be the wind. That's going to be the big story. Blue Goose says, my cocoa house may get some weather, looks like it. Excellent graphics. Hey, I appreciate it, Blue Goose. Spend a lot of time to try and bring you guys the best that you will see here on the digital platform. Obviously, that's what we want to do. And again, this system can do a lot. I've done a lot of custom refining so we can, move on the fly, switch to a lot of different things. So here's Gus. You know what I mean? If we wanted to look at the temperatures, we can look at that real fast. Again, just a lot of things I can do very quickly. We can also look at advisories. Those take some time to come up, but you get the idea here. So anything that is significant. Current warnings will pop up right here, but it's not just here. It'll be across the entire country. So again, as I mentioned, for the Raleigh area, these are going to be all severe thunderstorm warnings at this point in time. So yep, should be able to definitely maneuver through any severe weather threat. And that's the situation, because when we get sea breeze storms to fire up in the wet season, or we get a hurricane coming through, we're going to be moving very quickly here, right? Trying to cover as much as we possibly can, but do it in a very clear fashion for you guys. The great thing I love about this as well is that there's a lot of information on your screen without me even having to point it out, right? So you can clearly see that this is a special weather statement. You can clearly see that it expires in 8 minutes, and you can see the threat that it is encompassing, 55-mile-an-hour winds. If there was a hail threat, that would also be on your screen as well. But this special weather statement is going to expire at the 2 o'clock hour. Once again, this is going to have some pretty heavy rain and some really gusty winds for New Smyrna, Edgewater, so I-95. It's not going to be fun. Getting the kids home from school east of I-4 towards I-95 is going to be a problem in some areas. There's not a ton of lightning, right? We don't have healthy thunderstorms. So hopefully not going under the 30-30 rule, right, where you have to sit there and wait for 30 minutes past the last rumble of thunder. But it's going to be wet. I-4 is already wet. I-95 is going to get wet. I-4 is wet all the way from the Daytona Beach area back towards Tampa. So give yourself some extra time if you can. That would be my advice. I really think this storm has pulsed up a little bit here over the Kissimmee area. So I think I'm going to keep a really close eye on this one. We'll see what the winds are doing. Again, that one looks to be an older report. Yeah, it's a little bit more than about an hour. You notice again, we have this. There is a hail detection from my computer into that particular cell right there. So we got to watch out for that one. Let's see, did it have the movement on it? No, it didn't. Okay. Let's see if the radar is picking up any hail out of that. Take a look at estimated mean hail size. So it is not good news. I was not expecting the hail to be a big threat today. So sometimes the algorithms can pick up on the moisture rather than the hail actually falling to the ground in a marginal situation like this, but it's something I'll keep a very close eye on. Thank you, Fiona. I appreciate it. Hurricane season is one thing, absolutely, but obviously we're going to have a lot of opportunities to talk to each other during the wet season when we have our sea breeze storms coming in. My plan is to obviously cover those. Those are very impactful storms. In some areas, they can cause more damage than a hurricane. It just depends. If you get the wrong one and you get 6 inches of rain and you flood, or you get the 2-inch size hail, that's the problem, right? And when we have those hailstorms, again, Lean Law Firm down below can help you out with that insurance claim. So keep that in mind as we get into spring season, guys. Interesting to see, again, it looks like on the Melbourne radar that it's picking up some of that low-level moisture coming in behind the main line. But again, you still have this 53-mile-an-hour wind in Sanford. We'll see what happens in New Smyrna, expecting that wind gust to be a little bit stronger as well. Still 35 at MCO, right? Just outside of the special weather statement, which does go for the next 20 minutes. So we're looking at about 2:15 in that area. And it looks like the special weather statement should be allowed to expire in Polk County, right? Notice that the showers are beginning to really congregate south of I-4 there for the most part. Again, if you live in Brevard County, would expect this to continue to be an issue at least through the 3 or 4 o'clock hour. Let's check in on our cameras. We'll start off with the Winter Garden camera looking off towards the west. Once again, this camera is in the western side of Orange County. You can clearly see the gray has really just filled back in. Not really seeing any rain from the camera right now. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you can see one of the palm trees there dancing with some of those winds, which again will easily be 25 to 35 miles an hour. There'll be some higher gusts from time to time as the air begins to dry out. But as I mentioned, even behind the rain, the clouds are still going to be pretty darn stubborn for most of the afternoon hours. It's going to take a time or two, you know, at least a few hours here before things finally clear out. We'll go over to the Disney camera as the bus moves on by. As I mentioned, hey, those kids are going to get home, but they're going to do it on the wetter side. The rain has ended there in Lake Buena Vista at the moment. You can see that the winds are still up. We're looking good for the rest of the day at the attractions as far as rain goes, right? Generally speaking, when these showers have moved past your area, outside of some windswept sprinkles, I'm not expecting a lot more to redevelop. By the way, since this is Wednesday, I think some of the schools are on early release as well, which is probably why we're seeing some school buses here at 1:55. I do remember that now. But honestly, that's not really a good thing. That means that these kids are getting home in the height of these storms across portions of Seminole and Orange counties. I know Orange County in the Orlando area is, I have no idea how widespread that is, but Wednesday is early release day in some school districts, which is why we're seeing some of these school buses at this point in time. But again, actually the timing stinks as far as that goes, because that's where we had the strongest winds push across I-4. Look, 40, 50 mile an hour winds, that's no fun for the school bus drivers. Conway Cam. Once again, this camera is looking to the east, so all of the clouds and the wind is going to be pushing away from you. A little bit of a lighter wind at this point in time, again, as that fresh shower moved through. At this point in time, the winds aren't as steady. We can see them picking up a little bit here on the camera at 156, but not a lot of rain in Conway. And as Blue Goose mentioned up in St. Augustine, he had 0.06 of an inch of rain. That kind of rainfall total is going to be more common than more than 1/4 of an inch. There are some pockets of heavier downpours in areas that will get that, but they're actually relatively few and far between compared to just getting some fast-moving showers and certainly getting the opportunity for a lot of wind as well. All right, so let's go back over to our radar. Again, you guys have a specific question, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. While you're down there, I really do appreciate you taking a quick second and liking this live stream. Thank you for joining us here on CFLW. We are live at 1:57, 1:58-ish on this Wednesday afternoon. You can see that MCO has now gotten up to a 41 mile an hour wind. So fresh winds there in the southeast sides of Metro Orlando. That would be indicative of a severe weather statement kind of wind rather than a severe thunderstorm warning. But that goes along with some pretty darn heavy rainfall right now. If for some reason you live in Buenaventura Lakes or Kissimmee, East Lake Tahoe area, St. Cloud, as we mentioned, had some healthy rain coming in. Now, I do not see, there's one here that it's still pinging the hail. And there it is. Still says there's some hail there, all right? So let's watch out for that in St. Cloud right at the top of the hour. That would probably be the one concern I have. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, this special weather statement for Polk County is about ready to see the clock run out on that. Hi, Linda. How you doing? What time will this hit Titusville? Good to see you again. It's been a while. Sure, Linda. I'm happy to help you with that. Same thing for Teresa, who lives in Mims. So, again, let's be clear about something. This is not coming in as a nice, solid line, all right? You know, I haven't done a lot of storm cell tracking because this is extremely broken right now, right? So really, if you notice that the first little shower is trying to get to Titusville as we speak, it'll be a fast moving shower in and out of your area. Also notice there's not a lot of lightning, guys. There's just been a few lightning strikes. So fast wind driven showers. It should pick up through the remainder of the 2 o'clock hour in northern Brevard County, but it's going to be hit or miss whether you get 1 or 2 different rounds of showers and then how much rain you're going to get. There's going to be a lot of areas that only get a couple hundredths of an inch of rain. Some areas could get a 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch, but these are so fast moving, we're not going to get a ton. Now you notice that the special weather statement has been allowed to expire here for Volusia County, so it means that we've gone under that criteria. I want to still be clear though, New Smyrna down towards the Edgewater area, we're still going to have some extremely heavy rainfall right now and probably some winds pushing 40 to 50 miles an hour. So yes, for the remainder of Brevard County, the eastern sides of Orange and Osceola counties, and back into the southern and southeast sides of Polk County, this is all still to come. If you live along I-4, Sanford, Altamont Springs, Baldwin Park, downtown Orlando, Lake Buena Vista, Polk City, Lakeland, Brandon, Tampa, you could still have some spotty light showers, but the bulk of this has pulled through your area here. Winds are still going to be fresh, 25 to 35 miles an hour. The biggest difference are going to be temperatures, okay? As a matter of fact, temperatures with the IR satellite, why not, right? Oh, well, the temperature should have been on there. Yeah, they were supposed to be. There we go. So again, the interesting thing is that when the rain moves through, you dip into the 60s. As we try and get a little bit more in the way of some sunshine, we'll see temperatures rebound a little bit, but it'll be cooler. Notice on this IR satellite imagery, these are the highest cloud tops. So this right now, to me, is the strongest part of this. And you do have a big temperature difference right now from 66 at MCO to 84 in Port St. John. Friends, in Brevard County, there is still some juice in the atmosphere. You guys have reached the low to even a couple of mid 80s for today. And I don't know if you guys have been outside, but before I came on, I had a little bit of yard work to do. I actually had to get up on my roof and blow off some leaves because I didn't want, if we got some heavier rain today, I didn't want there to be a lot going down the old downspout. We actually have underground downspouts. I didn't want them to get clogged. It was disgusting. It was really, really not pleasant to be outdoors. Was not fun. It really felt like an early summer afternoon. So let me bring up our radar here over the last couple of hours, just so you kind of guys get an idea of what the overall view is going to look like. Once again, earlier in the day, the showers rolled through the northern sides of our area. They're now pushing off of the Flagler County coastline. So Flagler County, I think you're going to be dry. We're still going to have some rain and some very windy conditions for portions of Volusia. Lake County is looking better. Still a little bit of light rain on the eastern sides of Lake County. Still could see development pop up again, central and the eastern sides of Seminole, central and eastern sides of Orange County, back into Seminole and Orange and Osceola counties. Brevard County, the worst is still to come, whatever that ends up being. That could be winds of 50 to 60 miles an hour. Still some heavy showers and storms over Polk County. Things are improving in Manatee, Sarasota, Pinellas, Hillsborough, Pasco, Hernando, Citrus, Levy, Marion counties. Again, you might even get a little bit of sunshine by the end of the day. Temperatures there kind of in the 60s and the 70s. That's the broad view. Thanks, Linda. I appreciate you. Get a quick sip of water here as well. So let's see. Okay. Just want to make sure that we still have that special weather statement. I was going to be very surprised if they let that one expire. So good to see you guys again. I've been on for now about an hour. And again, there's been one severe thunderstorm warning and multiple special weather statements. But let me be clear, your severe thunderstorm warning criteria, there's only 2, right? Winds of 60 miles an hour and or inch-sized hail. Not going to get inch-sized hail out of the storms for today, but this special weather statement is for winds of 55. I mean, we are teetering on severe thunderstorm criteria. So we've really got to watch out for in St. Cloud right now, right? This is the area that I think actually has some of the worst weather that we've seen. Let's go over to the velocity. You can see that there are some strong winds here again. And you also can clearly see too that the lightning, right? So we actually have some lightning in this area, and we haven't had a lot of that. So there's a little bit more instability here, a convective nature to this particular cell. You see the winds here, we're picking up on the radar, 35, 40. But again, some of that might actually be lighter because as the air mixes down and pushes out at the surface, it could actually be stronger than a little bit higher up in the atmosphere. Of course, this is coming from the Melbourne radar, so we're shooting a little bit, a couple thousand feet in the sky when we're looking at those wind profile data. That's a pretty nasty storm. The wind is the biggest threat. Again, if you have an opportunity here, well, that please go off the screen. Thank you. If you have an opportunity to get all the objects that are lightweight inside and you live in this area, that's the best thing to do. Now, if we follow this cell, right, as it tracks east, thankfully, it might skirt Lake Nona and Medical City and Narcoossee areas, the far southeast sides of Orange County. But as it gets east, it does start to get into more rural areas. You notice that that storm track only has St. Cloud in it, and the bulk of that is going through St. Cloud as we speak, or a couple of minutes ago, right? So if I go over St. Cloud, you can see that the impact's there since the impact's counting up. But you notice that, again, we continue to see winds that are going to be very strong, but this is getting into more rural areas, so that's not bad. But at this point in time, for St. Cloud, that's going to be some of the biggest issues. These storms are building back into portions of Lake County, so the Turnpike, which is 91, that you see right there, it's going to be wet and stormy there. I-4 is going to continue to be somewhat wet with kind of just spotty rain, but again, you know how it is with the drivers these days. You got to watch out. Let's take a look at the winds. So the wind in Kissimmee, which was about, I think, 26 last check, is now up to 37, and that was just 10 minutes ago, right? 41 at MCO, 32 in downtown Orlando, 32 in Sanford at the airport there, 28 in the New Smyrna area, 31 in Daytona. If you are just tuning in at the top of the 1 o'clock hour, or maybe just about 45 minutes ago, we did have a 58-mile-an-hour wind in Daytona Beach. All right. We did have a 58-mile-an-hour wind there in Daytona Beach. This is only going to loop up over the last 30 minutes. Just kind of give you an idea here. This is the live radar from Melbourne. You can clearly see that my radar system has been tracking that potential cell with some small hail right on through the Davenport area of Polk County and then into St. Cloud here into Osceola County. That's the biggest one right now. Still some spotty rain to the north and to the east. But there you go. Okay, let's see here. What did I want to do next? I wanted to look at wind gusts, but over time. 2 hours is perfect. All right, so these are the winds over the last 2 hours, and this is what I wanted to talk about here in Daytona Beach. You're going to see that. They report it so many times, I have to slow it down. But you're going to see this tick up to 56. Then we had a 58. But 56 is strong enough. So that was at 135. Oh, no, it wasn't. For some reason, the timing is off on that. During the 1 o'clock hour, they had a 56-mile-an-hour wind. Sanford had a 47 as well, right? And so you get the idea. And the reason why I wanted to point this out is the opportunity to have winds of 45, 50 plus miles an hour is still plausible as these cells move off towards the east. It's not as if, again, they're really losing any gusto at this point in time. So we'll go back over to the radar here out of Melbourne. It's interesting here that on the northern side of this is trying to pick up a little bit of hail there as well. So gusty conditions. This is what I expect for the remainder of the afternoon hours, right? Even behind this, the winds are going to be 35, 40 miles an hour. It is heading to Brevard, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, Blue Goose, keep an eye on that Coco camera you have at your house. You'll get some good wind, right? Again, I don't expect there to be in most areas some extremely heavy rainfall. Everything's moving so fast at this point in time. You know, this special weather statement, the motion is at 32 with a max wind gust of 55. Now, they just issued an additional special weather statement. So here you go. They're basically just building on this one, right? Because this one's going to expire in 6 minutes, so they're going to pick up on that. Now, the interesting thing about this one is you're not going to see a lot of populated areas with this newest one. So severe strong thunderstorm is going to impact southeast Orange, north, central Osceola County till 2:45. Tracking a strong storm near Narcoossee, moving northeast at 50 to 55 miles an hour. Again, we'll keep an eye out for everyone, but these are not going to be extremely populated areas. Lake Hart, the Lone Cabbage Fish Camp, our friends in the Wedgefield area, Christmas, and Pine Grove. Now, if you guys know these areas, Wedgefield is here, and Christmas is kind of right on State Route 50 there. So Wedgefield, and then Wedgefield here off of the beach line. Then you have Biffalo on 50 on over towards the Christmas area, which is kind of right in that far north notch there. All right, so there you go. New special weather statement. Again, winds of 55. So we really are close to teetering on the opportunity here for severe thunderstorm warnings, but we're just probably not going to get there. Just going to probably stay off of that. So we can get the live sweep to return. See if I do this. Let's go over to Jacksonville real fast. And of course, I can switch to any next red site as well. So if we get storms in our northern areas, switch over to Jacksonville, cover that for you. Switch over to Tampa's radar, cover that for you. Do it on the fly, just like this. Go back over to Melbourne. I was just hoping we'd get the sweep to pop back on. There we go. All right. Still got this one. Just looking at a couple of things here behind the scenes. And it's just still that same one with the probability of hail, right? 60% chance, small. It would be tiny hail if it was, you know, coming out of the St. Cloud area. But once again, pretty rural locations as it moves north and east. Now, if it holds together, Port St. John, Sharps, Cocoa. So if we're talking about timing with that cell, you're looking at around 2:40 for the I-95 corridor of Brevard County, Port St. John, Sharps, Cocoa, and Rockledge. That is to the south of Mims and Titusville, at least right now where this is. Interesting thing here, nice little bit of a notch there. Again, this is the strongest cell. There's no doubt about it. This one has been holding together pretty good as well. And part of the reason why, guys, is that the winds are just out of the south, and this is kind of, it's sort of by itself. I mean, again, these are all pretty homogenized. I'm not really concerned overall about, you know, anything really trying to spin up in any way. Take these vector fields here and just increase the size. Again, you're just going to see the arrows are just kind of the general wind vector, right? So anything out ahead of this is still going to have a south to a southeast wind, right? These are, I don't know, most of these are a little bit more due west than what I think that the model is showing, but anywhere ahead of it, it's going to be a south to a southeast wind. And so we're cranking in relatively warm, moisture-laden air for early March to come into some of these cells. So if they can kind of get out by themselves a little bit, they're going to be the ones that are the highest end today. Now, they're not going to be high-end storms, right? Again, no severe thunderstorm warning, but if there was a storm that could get a little bit rowdier, I think it's this one right here. Coming out of St. Cloud, for the present time, it is moving away from any populated areas. We'll see if it holds together as it gets closer to Brevard County. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's bring back on our wind gusts. Again, these are all live. They'll update live in real time. You know, if we were running a tally sheet right now, it would be number 1, Daytona Beach 56, Sanford number 2, I think it was 47. MCO not far behind, 41. But we also had some 40s out west as the storms came through before I came on. A lot of areas are going to end up with a max wind gust today of over 40 miles an hour. Once again, you can see live conditions at the bottom of your screen. Those will update as new observations come in. I think the biggest thing to catch here is that you're going to see a big temperature difference across the area, but also some of our western areas where temperatures are beginning to actually rebound. Last time I looked down, Gainesville was 70. They're back up to 75. Orlando has actually cooled off a bit at 70, but I believe Spring Hill and Crystal River have jumped up several degrees as well behind that rain that has come through. So again, going to see some impacts as far as that goes, but temperatures will try and rebound. Let's go back out to our camera from Winter Garden. Again, this is in the western sides of Orange County. That is just a nice blanket of low overcast skies, right? You can almost see kind of this striations to some of the cloud coverage. It's a beautiful shot. And again, can't wait to use this one during our wet season, but it tells the tale as the drier air is beginning to try and mix in. The clouds are almost being pushed along at such a rapid pace. They're almost being stretched out. So you don't really have a lot of vertical development to the cloud coverage behind the main line of showers and storms, but we still have a ton of low-level moisture that has to be mixed out, and so you still get this base of low, dark-looking clouds. There's not going to be a lot of rain once the bulk of that system kind of skirts its way through. Again, it's not going to come through in a clean fashion, but if you've been looking at the radar, anything to the west of where the bulk of the rain is, it's just going to be a few sprinkles more than anything else. But it's a really cool shot. You can almost kind of see the striations in the clouds here as that strong wind just above the surface is really pushing a lot of that along. And if you look along the horizon, now we're looking farther west, you can see that there's a little bit of break in the cloud coverage as well, and that's what we'll continue to see. Back over to the Disney camera. Again, the rain has exited Lake Buena Vista. Outside of a few more sprinkles, I don't expect there to be a lot of rain in that area for the remainder of the day. But just like we saw in Winter Garden, you're going to see the thicker cloud coverage on the top of your screen there. The winds have settled down a little bit, at least initially. But again, don't be fooled. Those winds could easily pick back up and be 25 to 35 miles an hour. You notice that the roads are wet, so just give yourself a little bit of extra time if you can. Again, looking pretty good for getting the kids home from school, relatively speaking. The fact that there's not a lot of lightning helps out as well. Live look to Lake Conway near the downtown Orlando area. This camera is looking east as a airplane flies low in the distance, might be headed towards MCO. Again, you can clearly see if you look at the water that the wind is pushing away from the camera. Overcast skies there. Conway never had a lot of rain today as well. Neither did most of the western sides of Orange County, but there have been pockets of areas that have had some healthy rainfall totals. Blue Goose said in St. Augustine he only got 0.6 of an inch of rain, and I think that's going to be more common than getting over 1/4 of an inch. It will be area dependent, but just not a ton of moisture here. It's more about the wind that is being pushed along as this system moves its way through. Now, as I was showing you the cameras, as you would expect with the storms that will be moving into Brevard County, we do have a new special marine warning that is in effect for the coastal and the offshore waters of most of Brevard County and into southern Volusia County. That will go until at least 3:45. Notice that the winds here are up to 49 knots. We're up in Volusia County. That special marine warning was at 40, and they've even piled on top of that for the offshore waters there off of Flagler County and St. John's, 40-knot winds. So they're anticipating this to be stronger, all right? So 50-knot winds are over 50 miles an hour, obviously. 1 mile per hour is 1.1 knots. So, yeah, right? I've got that right, correct? 1 mile per hour, 1.15 knots. Not 1.15 miles an hour is 1 knot. Yeah, okay. Got to get back into hurricane mode. Boater mode. Yes, I'm still trying to do it in my head, by the way. I know it's 1.15. All right, so this cell is getting a little bit closer now to Brevard County. Yeah, 0.06. If I said 0.6, I meant 0.06, Blue Goose. That was my point, actually, was how little that you got. You got 0.06 of an inch of rain, and that most areas would get less than 1/4 of an inch compared to the areas that got more. So this cell is still showing this hail signature. There's a couple of lightning strikes with it. If you notice that the southern edge of this has gotten a little bit crisper, right? Whereas all of this other stuff is really muddied and garbled up. This kind of leading cell, which is punched ahead of anything else in Osceola County, has really kind of sharpened on the south side. That's a little bit of wind energy coming into this, which is prompting this. It's not going to shock me if this ends up hitting severe thunderstorm criteria. I think it's going to be really close. This is the cell that is going to have some impacts. So let's take a look at that. And again, this is from the algorithm from my weather computer. So it's fantastic. You can see some of the potential times of arrival, right? So 2:35 Sharps, same thing for Port St. John, 2:36 in Cocoa, 2:36 Rockledge, 2:44 at the Cape. Again, these are the threats out of that cell at this point in time. Moving east at 55 miles an hour, high probability of hail. That is unusual for the setup that we've seen, but if there's going to be hail, it's going to be out of the storm. No rotation. That is good news. And again, I would not expect this to be that kind of a day, but I always keep an eye out for that. So again, the I-95 corridor, when this storm comes through, and I want to be clear, this is not when it initializes. We're going to get rain ahead of this. This is when the most dangerous part of this cell will be moving in. That's where it is tracking this from. So for I-95, it's about 2:37, 2:38 this afternoon, or about 17 minutes away. For the Port St. John, Sharps area there across US 1, it's a few minutes after that, 2:41, 2:40 to 2:41 in Cocoa. And again, you know, we can just continue to track this down to street level if we had to, but you get the idea. Now, eventually this will push off towards the Cape. So for Cape Canaveral, there we're looking at about 2:52 to have the highest impacts. Again, to be clear, we're going to get rain and probably even some lightning ahead of that, but the bulk of the activity here with the most dangerous part of that cell will be coming there. Little fun appendage trying to stick out. These are the things I always watch out for. It will, Blue Goose, it will. We'll keep an eye out, you know, for you, no doubt about it. Again, is it this super high-end storm where I'm extremely concerned about things? No. But could it be an impactful storm? Absolutely. Again, you get 55-mile-an-hour winds, and we've had that already in Daytona Beach. You're going to knock down some trees, you know, some of the trees that are either dead or some of the weaker branches. You never know if that can cause some sporadic power problems. It happens from time to time. Any lightweight, loose objects in the yard and you live in these areas and you get a chance and you're running out of time, but if you do have a chance, get them indoors. If it was trash day, get the trash bins inside. Any lightweight furniture, anything that could fly around in the backyard, front yard, just bring them inside. Wind chimes, anything like that. You know, just make sure you keep a close eye on those kinds of objects because that's the big story here. And again, these are updated winds, which are still going to be fresh. I mean, Zephyr Hills still has a 40-mile-an-hour wind behind all this. Sanford still has a 32. Daytona Beach last check in at 31. Winds are lighter up towards St. Augustine in at 80. But even up into Jacksonville, it's been a couple of hours since the rain is done there. They have it over 30-mile-an-hour wind gust. Gainesville has had a 33-mile-an-hour wind gust as well. So friends, if you're just tuning in, watching a broken line of wind-driven showers and storms racing across Central Florida as we speak at 2:22 on this Wednesday afternoon. It's great to see you guys. Again, first true live stream in a while. Of course, I do the Monday and Friday shows at 1 o'clock so we can keep up to date. If you're a new watcher of CFLW, I appreciate you subscribing to the channel. You have the notifications on. Join me for those shows Monday and Friday at 1 p.m. because we talk about not only what's happening now, but get you prepared for the week ahead as well. Monday's show kind of covers the weather all the way through Friday. Then Friday's show covers Friday weather and the weekend weather. But on Monday's show, if you tune in, we talked about this very scenario for this afternoon, that I was going to be watching these storms coming in. Now look, This is nothing like they had in the Southern Plains, in the Mississippi River Valley, and what's happening right now in the Carolinas with, big time tornadoes, right? But we got our own impacts out of this, mainly in the form of some really, really gusty showers out there, a couple of lightning strikes, but again, knocking around some trees, causing some problems at the hour. So this special weather statement, and we'll just take a look again at the actual statement itself, goes until 2:45. So we do have about 21-ish minutes left on this right now. It is for Southeast Orange and North Central Osceola. Now, again, relatively speaking, for this special weather statement, these are in fairly rural areas. The winds are going to be the big story. Moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. Again, Lake Hart, Lone, Cabbage, Fish Camp, Wedgefield, Christmas, and Pine Grove will be the main areas that could be potentially impacted by that. Blue Goose, you never know, my friend. This time of the year, we got to get these cold fronts to come in to provide us the active weather. There is a spring storm season here. It's not as robust as other areas of the country because the fronts weaken as they get down into this part of Florida. But that being said, there could still be rowdier storms like today in all different forms. And some of them come in with a lot of spin and tornadic activity. Then as we get into the wet season, which it just depends. It could start in May, could start in June. That is obviously annually dependent. We get the sea breeze storms to pop up almost each and every afternoon. And, depending on how that plays, I'll be back on live covering those for you guys as well. And of course, we have hurricane season, just like last year. I'm sure a lot of you found the channel with that. Anything that will be moving through pretty much all of Florida, I would cover on this channel for that as well. Lone Cabbage in the neighborhood. Yes. You got it, Fiona. Thank you for mentioning Weather Express. Yes, so I do 3 different YouTube channels at this point in time, right? Media Mundo, which is actually the logo for this polo that I have on, that covers the Caribbean and the Bahamas. And we actually have over 50,000 subscribers. So if you would like forecasts for the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you can find a link to that channel in the video description here. And I would really appreciate you guys to go over there and click the subscribe button if you haven't. We could always use more. CFLW is for Central Florida. This is a live only channel. So Media Mundo, I'm going to do, this time of the year, it's not every day, but I do some video forecasts for the entire area. And then during hurricane season, it's daily updates, video updates, but then going live when anything threatens anyone. So tropical depression, tropical storm, Hurricane Beryl last year. We did a 12-hour live stream for Jamaica or in any areas that impacted the storm. And then the new channel that Fiona just mentioned is is Weather Express. Got to get all my names right. Weather Express. It's because a lot of you, both on this channel and on Media Mundo, asked me, are you going to cover weather for the rest of the United States? And so that's what Weather Express is. And you can find a link to that channel below. Just started that channel about a month ago. It's a 5-minute daily forecast across the country, kind of hitting the major highlights. But if you would like to tune into that and you'd like to support me in that way, you can click on the link to Weather Express and subscribe to that channel as well. Would appreciate all of that. Appreciate you guys tuning in on this Wednesday afternoon as well. All right, so just kind of going back through here, the loop of the composite radar, that is still going to be the freshest thing in town. Storms will get a little bit stronger farther south from southern Polk County and south. And again, for our northern areas, we'll continue to see the rain that moved through with a little bit more lightning right along the west coast earlier in the day. You can see that live lightning count over this 6-hour loop, pulsing up and down. Nothing got outrageous, but we did have, 35, lightning strikes right as those storms moved on. And then that lightning has come down a little bit. It's really the wind that is going to be the biggest story. When I show you guys the visible satellite imagery here, you can see that the live look at the hour, skies are trying to clear out right now up in Gainesville and Ocala, and will eventually clear out in Citrus, in Hernando, and Pasco counties. First, I would include Marion and portions of Putnam near Palatka and Flagler and St. Johns counties in that as well. But it's interesting, we're down to 64 right now in Orlando with some of the heavier rain that we've seen. Just to show you guys real quickly here, the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, we're actually going to be kind of near normal from the 6 to 10 day time frame. And then the rainfall precip, guess what? We're also going to be near normal. So we actually have a relatively quote unquote normal conditions coming up over the next 6 to 10 days. Let me see. Yeah, okay, so come on. This is the drought monitor, by the way, and I'll talk more about this on Friday's show, but the kind of tan areas are what's considered to be abnormally dry, and then the yellows you start to get into a low-end drought. The oranges are more into the moderate drought. The grays are no problems with any moisture at this point in time. But you get the idea that this winter season has been a little bit drier than normal, right? So we'll take whatever rain we can get out of today. We don't want the wind, okay? But the drought situation is not bad right now, but here's what we don't want. We don't want March, April, and May to be dry or drier than normal, because you know that if we have a dry early spring, the wildfire threat rockets up in June if the wet season doesn't kick in time. It's the worst time, late May and early June, when you've had a dry, March and April, and the wet season doesn't look like it wants to kick in anytime soon, and then the fire threat just goes crazy because it's getting hotter, the winds are picking up, it's no good. So, we're okay right now, but we really do want to continue to get some moisture, every 4 or 5 days to not elevate this dry conditions that we've had. So just wanted to point that out for you guys as well. Okay, back over to our live radar. This is going to be out of Melbourne. And while I was talking and going off on a tangent, we do have our new special weather statement. So here we go. Now again, it teeters on severe thunderstorm criteria, but we're not there. But you can clearly see that we have some heavier activity just beginning to approach Cocoa and Sharps. Now, the good news is, on my radar algorithm, I don't see the hail signature anymore. That's great news. If you see these pulsating areas though, that is really high reflectivity, okay? That is going to be indicative of some extremely heavy rain that could be moving into Sharps and Cocoa. Now, it's going to pass by really quickly, so it's going to be brief heavy rain, but that's going to be the biggest game in town. Let's take a look at the actual special weather statement. Here we go. This is going to be for southern Brevard Barrier Islands, the northern Brevard Barrier Islands, the mainland of northern Brevard, mainland of southern Brevard, inland southern Brevard, and inland northern Brevard. It's for Brevard County. Strong thunderstorm will impact northern Brevard through 3 o'clock. We've got strong thunderstorm near Sharps moving northeast at 30. Once again, it's winds of 50 to 55 miles an hour. They added Bellwood, Port St. John, Titusville, Canaveral Groves. I would add, considering that they are actually in this, Cocoa and Sharps as well. And again, this will be moving across Merritt Island and then towards Cape Canaveral. But this little cell right here, moving right across the beach line, 528, that's going to be the most significant as far as heavy rain. Could there be some embedded, very small hail? It's possible. Anything, you get above 50 dBZs, that's some healthy rain. Like if I show you guys the greens here on this radar, you're going to be in that 25, 30 dBZ. You get into the, mid and the upper 30s, into the yellow, into the oranges. Then you get into the red. It's really anything above about 40 dBZ. And you can see the values up top here. But when you start getting into the purples and these flashing blues, you're in the upper 50s to the lower 60s or higher. And that is just indicative of some extremely heavy rain, or that rain is mixed in with some hail. It's a tiny little spot, but it will be passing in between Cocoa and Sharps. Now notice there's absolutely, if I zoom back in here, there's a few lightning strikes, but that's about it. But that lightning, I think, is actually kind of west. So for Teresa, and Teresa, you were in MIMS, right? All right, work with me here. Yep, Teresa was in MIMS, Linda in Titusville. You guys are generally going to be okay. You're going to have some pretty, you had a nice little passing shower already come through, but it's very congested up here, right? And I mentioned that it's only this far southern cell that is getting the clean air from the south. If you notice that there's even a little bit of lightning trying to be picked up, probably being pulled into the southern side of this. This is why this looks so much sharper compared to all of the muddied showers up here, right? So it really is concentrated right now into these spots. Let me bring back on the wind too. So obviously the winds are going to be going up here, but we had a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust, Port St. John area recently. Same thing near Titusville, 28 there at the Space Force Station, 35 in Melbourne, right at the Weather Service, KMLB, 41 at MCO, 36 Kissimmee. So solid winds there. All right, Blue Goose, you might get on the action then, buddy. Again, is it a high-end storm? No. Could you get some winds of 50 to 55? Yeah. Is it going to cause any damage to your roof? I seriously doubt it. Again, wouldn't be fun for trash day, but some pretty solid rain too. So as we speak right now across US 1 and the beach line, so moving across the river towards our friends in Merritt Island. And again, the Cape is also under this special weather statement. So that's kind of the summary of it. Northeast at 31, max winds of 55. The Lone Cabbage Fish Camp, Port St. John, Titusville, Airport, Bellwood, Canaveral Groves. As you can clearly see, Cocoa Sharps are also included. Now, the most significant part of that cell is right over the Sharps area and headed towards Merritt Island and to the Cape. So this should be offshore just before the top of the hour. Okay? Got about probably 20-ish minutes or so before this gets out of here. Now, a little bit of heavier rain behind that still, but probably nothing as consequential. And again, muddied up conditions here. But nice little cells redeveloped over Sanford. 32-mile-an-hour wind. This is what I'm talking about. So the 417, which is the eastern beltway of Metro Orlando. Look, the road's going to be a little bit on the wetter side right now, right? Probably not too significant, but just keep that in mind, you know. If you got to get out there soon, get the kids home from school, run an errand, doctor's appointment, whatever you got to do, just keep in mind that the road's going to be fairly wet and the wind is going to be strong. So, you know, I don't think they say 10 and 2 anymore, right? I don't know if it's 3 and 9 or whatever, but 2 hands on the wheel. All right, Teresa, just got blasted with a wind gust, rain starting. There you go. Hi, Jay. How you doing? Again, Jay, in the house from Puerto Rico, letting us know what's going on, and I appreciate that. Again, you want to find the forecast for Puerto Rico that I do, that's going to be over on Media Mundo. Barranquilla. I know there's a Barranquitas. I have to look up where Barranquilla is. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, great to see you here. This is what this station is all about, guys. This channel is all about, is when there's impactful weather in Central Florida, I'm going to come on, we're going to cover it. Sometimes I'll be on for 15 minutes. Other times I could be on for hours and hours and hours. It just really depends on how the weather situation plays out. Not going to jump on just to jump on. This has to be impactful weather. I want you guys to know that if you get a notification, and again, I really suggest you guys have all notifications on because I don't go on this channel extremely often, you know, at least at this point in time, right? We'll see what the wet season brings, but you know that there's a reason why I'm on. I'm not just jumping on to talk about a few showers. These have to be storms that are at least pushing severe thunderstorm criteria or have some kind of impact that I think I need to let you guys know about, right? Now, the Monday and Friday show at 1 o'clock, those are scheduled shows just so we can keep in touch. And I hope you guys join me for those, like several of you in the chat do. Again, that's a way to keep up. You don't have to watch it live. Just like when I'm done with this, it will go to the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel. So the Monday show is on there right now. You can clearly see the thumbnail. You click on that, you can watch it at your convenience. And a lot of folks do, and that's great. I would love for you to join me if you can live, but I understand that sometimes the time isn't, indicative of what you can do on your schedule. So I appreciate those who do watch the recorded version at some point in time. And again, it's kind of evergreen for a few days. The Monday show kind of goes through Thursday and Friday's weather. The Friday show, when I see you back on Friday, we'll talk about the weekend weather ahead as well with some interesting changes. So again, right now, here you go, Blue Goose. Let me know what you're seeing. It is skirting Cocoa. Sharps is getting hammered pretty good. Portions of Merritt Island are getting hammered pretty good. And it is right on the edge of Cocoa. It's really kind of lined out, kind of west to east. Port St. John, gonna get it. Looking a little bit better in Indian River City and the Titusville area as well. This special weather statement more than likely will be allowed to expire. This is getting a little bit healthier here. So again, anywhere south of where we still have this activity is in the moisture-laden, juiced-up atmosphere. Temperatures there are still way into the 80s. I mean, take a look right now at Sebastian, 86. Melbourne, Palm Bay, 84 degrees. Space Force Station in at 84 as well. And MCO is down to 64. You've got a 20-degree temperature difference. Even Port St. John, before the rain moved in, was in at 84. That's a fair amount of juice for early March. Just plenty of warmth, and that south wind really cranked in a lot of moisture as well. So that's why we have the wind threat here, guys. So Cocoa, Sharps, Port St. John. I'm almost out of vitamin water. Teresa, Linda, Blue Goose, if you guys are still in, let me know what you're seeing out there. Obviously, Blue Goose can keep an eye on his camera in Cocoa. Linda and Teresa are in Mims and Titusville, which is north of this. So hopefully they ended up doing okay. But that is the big story in town. Now, again, these special weather statements, special marine warnings are well into play. All these areas in blues. I set up a time lapse looking west. Rain started. We'll see right on the edge, the SR 524 area. Can't say I know Cocoa. Oh, there's 524 right there. Gotcha. I was gonna say I can't say I know Cocoa extremely well. When I zoomed out, I saw 524, didn't I? And the thing about this too is that sometimes these things will label them and sometimes they won't. Linda, that's great to hear. I'm glad it's really quiet. So obviously you've got the split, the 528 and the 520. Would 524 be between 520 and 528? I can't actually map the street level here, but it kind of starts to congest the map. So unless we're tracking a tornado and we need to get down to street level, I don't like to do it too much. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, appreciate you. Live here on this Wednesday afternoon at 2:40. Really the big story right now is this strong storm moving through Brevard County. Thank you, Teresa. She says, Mims is nice breeze, no gusts at this time, gentle misting. That's good. You guys really did get lucky that the bulk of the heaviest storm stayed off to your south. You kind of got in the more congested air, so you just had some passing showers. Now look, the story is still going to be about the wind, regardless of where you are. That's why we've had these couple of severe thunderstorm warnings and special weather statements. It's the wind threat. Even the winds here could be up to 55 miles an hour. If you're just tuning in, we did have a 56-mile-an-hour wind earlier in the 1 o'clock hour in Daytona Beach, and Sanford had a 47-mile-an-hour wind. And then earlier along the west coast, as the storms moved in, we had many areas where their maximum wind gust was above 40 miles an hour. So that's the situation. So this one's going to go for the next 18 minutes. It's Port St. John and Sharps right now towards Cocoa that have the most significant weather across Merritt Island and the Cape. We'll see how these numbers, when these are your wind gusts at the present time, tick up. Now, again, the winds will settle a bit behind the rain, but still be quite breezy. It's going to take some time to fully clear out. You can actually see there's even still a few spotty showers in the Lake County. There's still some moisture behind this initial line. Again, it's not just this clean line that's going to be coming in. So there's a little bit of moisture to redevelop a couple of lighter showers, but it's not going to be nearly as prominent as other areas. Again, back to Winter Garden in the western sides of Orange County, it's the same situation here where, again, it's just dense overcast breezy conditions. There's still a lot of low level moisture, which is why we're still having some spotty showers. Eventually the drier air coming in is going to mix all of this out, and it's going to bring a nice forecast beginning tomorrow. But for the bulk of the afternoon hours, you should expect there to be relatively overcast conditions, very breezy winds, 25, 35 miles an hour, certainly some higher gusts, and from time to time, even behind that initial line, a little bit in the way of some windswept sprinkles, maybe a few light showers as well. Lake Conway, this is near downtown Orlando. This camera is looking to the east, so the wind is pushing off from the foreground to the background. You can see the cloud coverage here. Again, looking towards the east coast from this shot, you can see there's a few showers there along the horizon. Not a lot of rain today in Conway, and the winds have actually calmed down pretty nicely there as well. Disney area, we had a good downpour when I first saw you earlier today here in Lake Buena Vista. That has since cleared up, so we're looking pretty nice. Even the winds have calmed down a little bit. Again, they're not going to be as consistent behind the bulk of the heaviest rain, no doubt about that, right? But they're still going to be breezy from time to time. Look, U.S. Postal Service doesn't care. They're going to rain, sleet, or snow, or hail, right? Hopefully not the snow and the sleet part here in Central Florida, but all the other bad weather out there doing their job. All right, so back over to here. And again, still monitoring this cell. All right, Blue Goose. Looks like the weather missing Coco just to the north barely. There you go. St. Augustine also trying to clear up. Yeah, isn't it crazy, Linda? So, it's blue all around you, and then you snap your finger and 5 minutes later, it's overcast again, right? That's kind of how this is going to be playing out for the next couple of hours, right? So the good news is I don't expect any of this to redevelop and get too strong. If there is one area that could still be prone to a special weather statement, it's going to be right here. Okay, because there's still some juice in the atmosphere with the south winds. So Merritt Island, south side of Merritt Island, Pineda, Vieira, Satellite Beach, O'Galley, on over towards Melbourne, Grant Valkyria, Palm Bay, Mico, central southern sides of Brevard County. This is the one area that could still have enough juice in the atmosphere left to get a special weather statement. And again, the main threat's going to be winds of 50 to 55 miles an hour. We did have the one severe thunderstorm warning for Daytona Beach, and it was warranted because they did have a wind of 56 miles an hour there. All right, so that's the one area. Now behind that, again, the winds will stay quite gusty, but we're not going to uptick as far as any real threats for any stronger storms. This is the visible satellite imagery right now over the last few hours. Gonna let that loop up. As Blue Goose said, St. Augustine is trying to clear up, and that'll be the general trend, friends, as we go through the rest of the afternoon and into the early evening especially, is to get that drier air to come in. Those are temperatures, but when I show you dew points here as well, right? Let me get back on. Actually, let me do this. And then that's Gus. There's the dew points. So now why did the visible satellite imagery drop off? Well, now I'm sad. I guess because I switched a base. It's okay. It's not a big deal, but I've got all these presets, and I thought I could switch something on the fly, but I guess if you move one thing in the preset, it just drops off everything. All right, so if we look here, the point that I'm trying to make out of all of that commotion is that your dew point numbers are way lower here, and that's drier air that's going to be coming in. So we're going to clear this out. We're going to get you clearer skies. We're going to get you a nicer forecast for Thursday, Friday. When I see you at 1 o'clock on Friday, we'll talk a lot more about what the weekend is going to hold. But there is a nice push of drier air coming in. Technically, again, we are still under a risk for severe storms, but I am not that concerned outside of Brevard and maybe Indian River counties in our area right now. Again, that risk is a 1 out of 5. It's the marginal, the darker green. If you have any interest in the Carolinas and Virginia, they are under that enhanced risk, a 3 out of 5. It's not a fantastic scenario up there right now. Current warnings that are into play, you can see that line moving through. Anywhere that you see the purples are going to be tornado warnings. So near Richmond, Virginia, looks like they just had a tornado warning issued there. air, so it's unpleasant. So we got lucky that the bulk of the mid and upper level energy from this system stayed well to our north. We, again, most impacted by the wind more than anything else out of this. But behind it, we should start to see some drier air coming in. Now, we do have some advisories that I wanted to talk about. So the special marine warnings you guys have already seen. We're going to have some gale warnings for the offshore waters. Now, I don't think there's a lot of boaters this time of the year that are getting to the Gulf Stream waters 20 to 60 nautical miles out, but you get the idea. We do have wind advisories that are in effect, and there is a fire weather watch. Remember, I told you that we have a little bit drier conditions here. It's not an absurd concern at this point in time, but it is something to kind of monitor here. So let's take a look at that fire weather watch, as my mouse is uncooperative right now. There we go. Okay, so the fire danger expected across East Central on Thursday. It's because, again, the air is drying out, as I've already mentioned. And you can see all the areas that are going to be impacted. It's because we're going to have west to northwest winds at 15 to 20, gusts to 30, and humidity values that are going to drop back down to the 25 to 35% range. So that's the problem, right? Is that now the air is really dry. We haven't had a ton of moisture even with this system that came through today. Now you got to watch out for the fire weather. The wind advisory will go until 5 o'clock today, so for the next couple of hours. And again, it's for gusts up to 40 miles an hour. Now this is outside of any of the thunderstorms producing any stronger winds than that. So it just shows you that the Weather Service thinks, hey, even behind this line, all the way until 5 o'clock, we could still have some winds of 50 miles an hour. So fire weather watch will kick in for tomorrow, the wind advisory through 5 o'clock tonight. Okay, back over to the radar here. And again, live look out of the Melbourne radar at this point in time. So this cell is beginning to move out of the Port St. John, Cocoa area, and then right on through the Cape. Special weather statement will go for the next 10 minutes. But the good news is that, look, there could be a couple of areas that did pick up some strong winds, but at least that south side of that never sharpened up anymore, right? And what I mean by that is that we didn't have the hail threat, and we didn't have something trying to get squirrely on the south end of that one lone cell, which really held together all the way from the northern sides of Polk County. This cell is the one that went across St. Cloud, portions of northeast Osceola, southeast Orange, and then into Brevard counties. This was the biggest game in town, but it cooperated for the most part here, right? So that special weather statement should be allowed to expire in 9 minutes as that cell pushes offshore. Again, behind that, just relatively cloudy conditions and some breezy weather as well. Still watch out for central and the southern sides of Brevard County, as I expect that to be an area that could still have a little bit in the way of some gustier conditions. Friends, I think we're pretty good here at 2:50. We've been on for about an hour and 40 minutes at this point in time. My concerns are not strong anymore, anything behind that. So we're going to wrap up this live stream here in just a second. First thing I want to do is thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you doing that. Secondly, I want to thank our sponsor, the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They do cover the entire state, so it doesn't matter where you are in Florida. Homeowners, condo owners, associations, they're going to walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They do offer free consultation and policy reviews. Anything that could impact you or your home. If that occurs in your life, I suggest going to leanonmelaw.com to talk to Bobby Lean and the team there. We appreciate them being the exclusive sponsor of Central Florida Weather Live here for the first half of 2025. So once again, for Brevard County, this strong storm moving offshore. Still could get some heavier rain, still could get some gusty winds, Merritt Island South, Palm Bay, on over towards the Melbourne area. Behind that, breezy conditions continue for I-4. Still could see some light spotty showers, but nothing's going to get strong again. This is going to be all about the wind, but the biggest push is now moving off of our east coast. Behind that, the drier air. It'll be a little bit chilly from time to time over the next couple of days. Keep that in mind. And again, the fire threat is going to be a little bit higher, so don't be doing any outdoor burning on Thursday and Friday with the humidity values quite low. Friends, as I leave, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that like button for me right now. It really helps out the channel. Thank you for subscribing to CFLW. If you haven't, again, it's a live-only channel. I'm live only when there is impactful weather to cover here across Central Florida. and we do a Monday and Friday show at 1 p.m. to kind of keep constant contact and to get you guys prepared. So if you watched Monday's show, you knew that I was watching the storms here today for the possibility of coming on live. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you Friday at 1 o'clock for CFLW The Show. Until then, you all take care. I'll see you then.